Hey, what's good YouTube? Yami here, and we're back with another video. This video, we're going to be talking about the float mechanic and my version on how to break that down for you guys so you guys can perfectly understand how simple this mechanic can be. I watched a lot of videos out there on tutorials on how to play Peach, how to utilize her abilities to maneuver around the stage and things of that nature. But I'm here to make a video to kind of just break it down, to make it very simple for you guys to float, okay? So I hope you guys are all ready for this. So, first, what is float? To break it down, floating is basically a mechanic used by Peach and Daisy, which allows them to hover in the air for a short period of time. Basically allowing them to like have better movement or just unique movement in general, and also helps them like get back to the stage if they're like in any danger, something like that. So that's basically float. Pretty cool. Now, how do you float? Again, a lot of people are not, you know, they might be new to the game and they don't really understand how to float. So, to float, you basically press the jump button and you just hold the jump button. Simple. You stay airborne for about like maybe 3 seconds. I'm not sure how long you stay in the air, but you just jump and hold the jump button until you drop. You can also hold the joystick up to float as well. So you can press the jump button and hold up, and you will continue to float. When do you float? Now, a lot of people ask me a lot of times, when is a good idea to float? Is it good to spin your float to recover? I always think that if you need to float to recover or help better your chances to recover, I say always go for it, because it's better to be safe than sorry. Because a lot of times you can get knocked off stage, right? And you can float. Oops. Didn't hold the jump button. A lot of times you can get knocked off stage, and you can just use your float instead of your jump, and then you can still have your double jump and your up B ready. So that's a good idea to, you know, to float. Always depends on the situation and on how your opponent is playing. Also, another disclaimer, you definitely don't want to float near your opponent, because when you're floating, because basically you're in the air, you can't shield, right? So you're basically defenseless, essentially, right? So if they throw like projectiles or they throw a hitbox while you're floating, you can't really do anything about it. You're just stuck. So my thing is, don't be really close to your opponent when you're floating, and also when you're like off stage, it's always best to float so you can get back to the stage safely as possible. Alright, the part of the video which I feel like a lot of people kind of been waiting for is, what are some cool tech or some cool ways to utilize float to your advantage? So there's a couple of techniques I want to go over. Here's a small list of things that I'm going to talk about when using float as a mechanic. There's jump cancel floats, low floats, float cancel fastball, double jump, float cancel fastball, and we're going to do some off the ledge float stuff as well, okay? So let's just break down low floats, or actually, I'm going ahead of myself here. Let's talk about jump cancel floats. Okay, so to a jump cancel float is basically you're canceling your jump animation. So let's say, for example, this full hop right here, right? If we just hold the jump or the float button, this is our lowest point of float. Now, let's say, for example, I don't want to float that high, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to use down to kind of cancel our jump and immediately go into a float, right? So let's say, for example, I want to float this high. I want to jump and I want to hold down, or after you cancel your jump, you don't have to hold down, you just have to press it to get that the right height on your float, and you can just stop floating at that height. you can go as low as this close to the ground, which basically, I press jump and hold down at the exact same time, and you get the lowest float. And that's basically canceling your jump to float. Low floats, again, this is about as low as you can go. Just going over that one more time. That's just a low float. Float cancel fastball. So this is where it can get a little technical here. So if you want to learn how to do float cancel fastball, it's basically you're floating and you want to immediately fastball. Basically like that. Float, fastball. Float, fastball. Float, fastball. I know that Dark Peach made a video on how to float cancel fastball. If you want to check out that video, make sure you can and just look at some of his techniques on how he gets into float canceling. But essentially, you float, and as soon as you let go of the float button, you just push down just once, and that's how you do a float fast or a float cancel fastball. And you can also just do it like this. Sometimes I can get it really fast. I'm still like a little new at this, but you see where I fall down really fast, like that. That's what you want, and that's what you want to practice towards, because that's a really good like mix-up option if you're approaching your opponent with a really fast float cancel fastball. The next thing is double jump float cancel fastball, which basically you want to let's say full hop and then double jump into a fastball. I feel like this is a little bit easier to do than a fastball cancel, because you can jump and then whenever you're ready, double jump, and as soon as you hit the double jump, let go of the X button, and as soon as you let go of the X button, you want a fastball. For me, I don't know why, but I feel like it's easier. And you can tell you did a double jump fastball cancel. It's when you see the little waves, or like the little diffusion wave right below her dress. I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's how you can tell when you do a double jump. Alright, and again, I'm not going to try to go into like super big details on all this technique and stuff, but another thing I want to talk about with text or cool text with the float button is off the ledge stuff. So essentially, when you're on the ledge and you still have your float, you can do a couple of things, right? You can float away like this. You can also cancel your double jump, or I'm sorry, your jump up animation off the ledge. You can cancel that off with a jump cancel float like that, which is pretty cool. So you can also get some like attacks off like that, which is really quick. There's some other things you can do with it too. I'll let you guys explore all the cool things that you can really do off the ledge with that. Like Peach and Daisy have so many different like mix-ups, it's ridiculous. So again, I'm not going to go into it because I don't want to make this video super long, but I'll let you guys explore and go into different situations like that, you know? So you can also do something like this. Oops. So yeah, it's just some really cool stuff you can do. Also doing things with a low float. I know a lot of Peach tutorials talk about how to do this like float cancel stuff really fast, like float attack, like back airs. You can do up airs really fast. And you see I'm like really rusty with it right now. My hands are like super cold, so I can't like get them off consistently. Yeah, I don't know why I can't get them right now. But yeah, basically, once you understand and like master like the low floats and stuff, you can throw out like aerials like mad fast. So, once you get down with that, it will come second nature, but you definitely have to practice these techniques, and they're pretty quick. You don't have to be like super fast at the start of doing these techniques. Just start off really slow, and then once you get muscle memory into doing these certain techniques over and over again, then it'll be second nature to you, and you'll be popping them out in matches like lickety split. Super easy. So yeah, just take some practice. A very good video to watch to get into a good routine for practicing your techniques is a video made by Izaw. He recently just did a video on what you should do in training mode, or how you should train. I would recommend you check out that video as well, because it gives you some really good techniques and tips on how to get into the training mode and master your techniques, which is really good. So I advise that as well, because it also helps me as well. Even though I'm not really warmed up to Peach and Daisy movement, a lot of times right before tournaments and stuff, I do at least 15 minutes of just straight float cancel stuff, so I can be ready for my tournament matches and stuff like that. And the last disclaimer I wanted to go over in this video is, why is it important to execute your float? Well, it's very important to execute your float because you don't want to have mishaps in your matches, right? So you don't want to like accidentally, like, for example, I get this a lot too, right? So when I'm playing this character, and you need to really understand the mechanics and inputs behind all your floats and why it happens. So when it comes up, you can be prepared for the situation. So a lot of times when I'm recovering, right, when I up B, sometimes, because remember, when you hold up, you float, right? So a lot of times when a lot of Peach and Daisy players input up B, they float right before they initiate the up B. And a lot of times it can cancel out your float and you won't be able to float. So like say for example, you're on a ledge and you get hit off the ledge. Now you can't float, because you technically already floated before you up B. So that's also a very good disclaimer to make sure that you don't accidentally use your float. Or sometimes you can use your float to double jump, cancel off stage, and you can SD like that. So I advise for you to understand how to control your float, because it can be a very tricky mechanic. But yeah, just make sure that you understand what you need to do in every situation of float. Make sure you think about your options before you commit to a float, because sometimes it can be very punishing, and being caught without your float can be very troublesome, especially off stage, if your opponent knows how to edge guard you very well. So just keep that in mind. Mix up all your options as much as possible. But I'm just wanted to break down how to float. I didn't want this to be like a complicated video or anything like that. I just kind of want to put my inputs out there. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave comments below. I will answer them as much as or as fast as possible, but I will answer them, I promise. And if you guys found this video very helpful, you can always leave a like, because that's always much appreciated. And I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. It's a little small goal I want to hit. So I will be hosting or doing more Smash videos and tutorials, things of that nature. And hopefully I'll get better in depth on how to do certain things, like neutral exchanges, combos, things of that nature. But yeah, with that said, that will be it for my video. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great one.